Today's energy feels like a moment of realization, a moment where something that has been forming beneath the surface begins to become impossible to ignore. The astrology of May 19th carries a very distinct feeling of movement, but not rushed movement. This is not chaotic momentum. This is intentional momentum, the kind that comes after clarity has had time to settle, the kind that comes when you've reflected long enough to finally know what needs to happen next. There is a grounded quality to today's energy, but there is also a growing mental activation that feels impossible to dismiss. Something is shifting, and the message of today is what has become clear is now asking for your commitment. There is a powerful bridge forming between steadiness and forward movement, between reflection and action, between what has been understood internally and what is now ready to be expressed externally. And if you've been waiting for a sign that something is aligning, today may offer exactly that. The sun remains in late Taurus, which continues to anchor us in themes of stability, intention, and long-term alignment. Taurus energy is never interested in rushing. It doesn't move because of pressure. It moves because something has become solid enough to build upon. This energy asks us to slow down enough to recognize what is real, to notice what is actually taking root, to become honest about what deserves our sustained energy. There's a practical wisdom moving through today, a reminder that progress is not always loud. Sometimes growth looks like choosing consistency, choosing focus, choosing to stay devoted to what matters, even when results are still unfolding. And today, Taurus is asking, what are you truly willing to commit to? Not for a moment, not for temporary motivation, but for the long term. This is energy that supports building, refining, simplifying, returning your attention to what creates something lasting. At the same time, there is strong Gemini activation moving through the chart, and this changes the atmosphere. Gemini brings movement to the mind. It stirs thought, communication, realization, and perspective. This can feel like sudden clarity, like mental pieces that once felt scattered are beginning to connect. You may notice today that your thoughts are moving quickly. Ideas may arrive unexpectedly. Conversations may reveal more than anticipated. There may be moments where insight lands all at once, and something suddenly makes sense. This is highly intuitive mental energy, the kind that brings downloads, the kind that opens understanding through reflection, writing, speaking, or even a passing thought that feels more significant than it first appears. Pay attention to what keeps returning to your awareness. There is information surfacing for a reason. Emotionally, today feels clearer, lighter, more articulate. There is support here for understanding what you've been feeling by putting language to it. Sometimes clarity comes the moment we finally name what has been living beneath the surface. This is beautiful energy for journaling, for having honest conversations, for speaking truthfully with yourself. There may be realizations around relationships, around values, around where your energy naturally wants to move next. And these realizations feel less emotional and more certain, less reactive and more quietly undeniable. That feels important. Today's clarity doesn't need to force itself. It simply arrives. And once it does, it becomes difficult to ignore. There is also an undertone of action building beneath the surface. But unlike the fiery urgency of previous days, today's momentum feels more refined, more intentional, more aligned. This is not energy that says act immediately, just to relieve discomfort. It says move because you now understand what matters. That distinction changes everything. There's power in choosing action from clarity rather than anxiety. There's strength in responding instead of reacting. And if you've been feeling uncertain about your next step, today may offer the kind of inner knowing that simplifies everything, not because every answer appears at once, but because one next step becomes obvious. And often, that's all we truly need. There is also a deeper emotional wisdom present in today's energy, a reminder that true growth should feel supportive, not draining, not chaotic, not disconnected from your well-being. There is an invitation to ask yourself, does this path feel nourishing? Does it create peace as well as progress? Does it support the version of me I'm becoming? Because not every opportunity is aligned. Not every open door is yours to walk through. Today is about discernment, about recognizing what genuinely resonates and choosing that with intention. Collectively, this is a day for commitment, for focus, for choosing alignment over distraction, for trusting what has become clear enough to move forward. If you've been waiting for certainty, today reminds you that certainty often arrives quietly, not as some dramatic revelation, but as a steady inner knowing, a calm recognition, a truth that simply settles into place. And once it does, the path ahead begins to reveal itself. The message for May 19th is this: you already know more than you think you do. The clarity you've been asking for is already forming. The answers you've been seeking may already be present. And today is about trusting yourself enough to honor what has become undeniable. You do not need every detail. You do not need perfect certainty. You only need enough truth to take the next aligned step. Something is becoming clear. Something is taking shape. And your willingness to trust it is what moves everything forward. Thank you for tuning in to Daily Astro. And as you move through today, remember, the moment clarity becomes commitment is the moment momentum begins.